though, so I'm just gonna have to close this window. Alright, anyway, back to the game. I hope that won't happen very often. There are like these enemy encampments that you have to go through and beat all the enemies. They all spawn again as a result of the disconnection, so that's a little unfortunate, but you, beating all the enemies unlocks the chest. I think that's another carryover from Breath of the Wild. But like I said, weapons don't break. Some weapons have different passive properties that develop as you level up the items, or the weapons rather. Aether's very cocky.
こういうやつらは普通都市から離れたところに巣を作るよな。そうね。本来だったら荒野にいるはずね。でも最近風魔竜が頻繁に出現するようになってキャラバンのルートに影響があったの。暴風が発生するたびに怪我人も多数出るし、騎士団はその被害から守らなくちゃいけなくてね。だからこいつらの活動範囲もだんだん城の方に。そう。でも今日また一つ巣を片付けられたから進展はあった。さあ、私についてきて。
You do actually get rewarded in your efforts later on in the game for, you know, clearing out the camps and such. There's a whole guild system that they have. Not like a guild system like you would find in World of Warcraft. It's just like a... You do certain quests, and it gives you rewards based on your world completion percentage. You get that through unlocking chests and finding new areas and so on and so forth. Okay, so now we got artifacts that we're going to go over. Each character can hold up to 5 artifacts. I got a feather just now, so like this is one of the artifacts. There are flowers, feathers, like sands, those are like timepieces, goblets, and like circlets, like crowns. So I can equip this item for 8 more attack, and that's pretty neat. But each artifact comes with a point to a certain passive. So like I equip this, I get 1 in the adventurer skill, and if I get 2 by equipping another adventurer artifact, then I get the 2 piece, which gives me 1,000 more HP. So that's pretty nice for early game. If I get 4, then opening a chest regenerates 30% of max HP for over 5 seconds. That's not really, like, you're not going to be using that later in the game, or if at all. If you really care that much about, like, searching and you find you're somehow low on health for whatever reason, then you can use it, but, like, don't really see the point. Especially when there's much better artifacts as the game goes on. You see, clearing out that encampment gave me some rewards. Just gonna activate these waypoints. We'll come to these later. There's a lot that gets covered, and there's a lot that gets covered later with this game. There are like these dungeons that you can find. I guess they're akin to shrines, but they're not as puzzle based. They're more like combat based more than anything. But we'll do those pretty soon, actually. Anyway, so we're... Oh. Alright, so we are going to be introduced to the cooking system with this character here. Lynn, actually. Next, I'm not going to read the dialogue, that's obnoxious.
冒険者協会所属サバイバルのプロよ。腹が減っては冒険ができぬというのがピクニック。オイラも大好きなんだ。オイラの仲間も料理が得意だぞ。そうだろ？おお、鍋の準備はできてるから腕前を見せて。こうやって切磋琢磨しながら料理できる機会は珍しいわ。
So, similar to Breath of the Wild, I believe, you can collect these ingredients from, like I said, like collecting foodstuffs across the landscape is a very good way. It's a very ideal because you have the ability to cook them. And when you go to cook, you have these different recipes that you can pull from. These are like the basic ones that you start out with. You can even process ingredients from the stuff that you make. So like I have one wheat, I can literally like cook, pick how much to process, and then over a certain period of time it'll process it into flour. And like these different ingredients you can use for making different recipes that you unlock somehow. But she wants me to make this chicken mushroom skewer. I got mushrooms, I got fowl, so we'll go ahead and cook that. There are certain characters that have passives that give you rewards for cooking properly, but like this is just like a tiny minigame. Click. Perfect. There is a proficiency for each of them, so like if I make 5 of these perfectly without messing it up, well, you don't have to get 5 in a row, but if you get 5 perfect ones, then it comes to a point where like you don't even have to do the cooking minigame for it. You can just make however many you want if you have the resources for it. So it's kind of handy. Food actually, I think, like I didn't use food very much in Breath of the Wild, but like the effects that you get from food in this game, like they can boost your attack, they can boost your defense, they can boost your health, obviously, they can revive your characters, like a lot of practical applications to it. Anyway, we're going to go into the city of Mondstadt. Mondstadt is very heavily influenced by, I believe, Germany. It makes a lot of sense with like the sprawling landscapes and the flowers and the castles. It's like it's really, really heavily influenced by that part of the world, and I really dig it personally. Oh, is this cutscene not going to play out either? I'm going to have to figure out how to work that. I'm really sorry. This is kind of embarrassing. I didn't play the game up to a point where I was encountering cutscenes, so I don't know why it's running this way. I will have to figure something out. Maybe I can Google it. It could be that I'm playing in a lower resolution. Certain cutscenes will play, certain cutscenes won't. I think you can skip them if you get the opportunity, but we can't do that because for some reason they're not playing the cutscenes. But like all the cutscenes you can see on YouTube, so not that big a deal. The story isn't so in-depth that like you're missing much by missing it. I hate to say it. The lore in this game is like really fucking deep though, which I really kind of appreciate it. But I'll mess around with it and try to figure out why it's doing that. I'm really sorry about that. I looked it up now and people are just like, how can you skip cutscenes? I want to skip cutscenes. It's like, cutscenes are good. They're good in this game. It's nice and pleasant. I also don't know why it plays some better than others. I think just some that are in engine and some that aren't exactly in engine. Okay, so I press J to open the quest menu, and we're already set up on our first quest. You get your quest list here. You can, like, I'll just pull it back up again. You get your quest list, you can navigate to them. It's neat. Oh, I never gave the chicken skewer to that lady. I should probably go do that. Shows you how far away it is. I'm not setting a very good example by not being quests. Alright, let's give her the mushroom skewer. Ooh, excuse me. Stretching. Oh, God. Ugh. Alright. She lets me have ingredients for making her chicken that she very easily could have made herself. Yeah, there's like a wide array of ingredients in this game. You get different ones based on the region that you're in. You can all use them to cook. You can use them for other things too, like alchemy and that sort of thing. Alchemy kind of lets you, I mean, as the name implies, it kind of lets you make materials out of other materials. It typically works like you take a less rare material, you combine like 3 of them, and then make a rarer material. And like the materials are used for character ascension and weapon upgrades, and blah blah blah. Alright, so back to the city. I should probably pick that quest. Alright, we're just going to navigate along this main story quest. This is the... Well, actually, I'm just going to wait on that. Because the game does a pretty good job of explaining it already. As you do certain quest lines, there's the glimmering path that lets you figure out where you need to go. You can just straight up just climb the walls to get to where you need to go. I also really like the music in this game. Could be sprinting. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. Not setting a good example. Anyway, so like this town is kind of comprised of like a tavern and a church and a marketplace. It's very much like, I don't know, I don't want to say medieval. It's kind of medieval. I mean, there's a dragon flying around and so on, so, you know, maybe it is and I'm just in denial. Yay! We got a wind glider! Ugh, excuse me. Wind glider operates very much the same as the paraglider in Breath of the Wild. I think it's almost exactly the same, if not completely. And you can, when you jump from a height, or walk off a space, press space. Space is the jump button. You open up your glider, and you can glide around, just float around, do whatever. Gliding also uses stamina, much like in Breath of the Wild. So, like, if you run out of stamina, you just kind of fall. Another thing you could do in the air is when you click the attack button, you do a plunging attack. And if you do a plunging attack, because there is fall damage in this game, if you do a plunging attack, if you do the plunging attack, you take reduced damage when you fall. And I think it does more damage based on how far you fall. I might be wrong about that. But there are some characters that operate like entirely off of using their plunge attack. It's kind of... You don't use it too often. You mostly use it for initiation if you're like hovering above somebody. Anyway, cutscene. This one's actually playing. This is fine. So there's this dragon named Storm Terror, of all things, who has been terrorizing the city of Mondstadt for whatever reason. And there's no princess involved. Whatever. We're just kind of tasked with taking down this dragon, finding out its unfortunate backstory. load times can be kind of long sometimes. Yeah, you'll have to forgive me if I'm yawning. This particular section is nothing to write home about. You kind of just like, it's a rail shooter. Luckily they must have gotten good feedback. Another thing I really do appreciate about this game is that the devs like are constantly like doing feedback surveys, especially after like major events that they do in game. You like there was an event recently with like an entire new area and with like different mechanics, and it was like, oh, how well do you think this mechanic worked? What was the best aspect to you of this area? Was it storyline? Was it traversing the area and that sort of thing? And they work. I want to say they work upon that feedback. If they didn't, then I don't. Excuse me. I don't know why they would bother that much. But it's kind of nice to know that like you can do these surveys, and hopefully MiHoYo, which is the company that made this game, will actually listen to that and plan upon it. They have heard some feedback and like changed things based on player feedback. There's one character in this game that when they released, they were, I don't want to say like one of the worst characters, but they were exceedingly underwhelming. And because of that, like this is a very important character to the story in that particular arc. So to make him so underwhelming for like such a rare chance of getting him, like it felt like kind of a slap in the face. That wasn't their intention, obviously, when they designed the character, but what they did is that they heard the feedback of the community on the forums and in the game, and they went and tweaked the character, and they improved him in every kind of way. Okay, so we got Kaya here. Kaya. I don't really know how you pronounce it. This fucking guy. So he's the third one that we recruit. We don't recruit him right now, but we recruit him later. He's kind of a shitheel, but like in a charming sort of way. Got like the whole eye patch and stuff. He's not really a serious character. He's actually one of my favorite designs in this game, which says a lot because I don't really care much for his character. I think some of the designs in this game are like absolutely like, I don't know. It's just, there's something about a good character design, and this might just be my personal taste, but there's something about a good character design that just like really carries a game for me. I kind of I feel the same way about a lot of games that I've played, like Bravely Default, and well, that's really the only one that springs to mind because I think that's like my favorite game ever. But you get the idea. This game has very unique character designs, I feel, and like the different areas of the game, like kind of play into that too. So like these characters wear like belts and woven clothing and all that, and like accessories, and it fits well with the whole Germany, I guess. I don't know. All these characters that we're meeting right now are knights, so like the attire works. だから聞かないでおいてやるぜ。とにかく騎士団を代表して礼を言うよ。We're just gonna have Aether be a fucking shitty. I know I used that word twice. Shitty. Such a good word. 守られた市民は全員お前たちの活躍を目撃した。代理団長もお前たちに興味があるみたいでな。騎士団本部までどうか来てくれないか。So yeah, basically this, we unlock the dressing room, we can change our glider. Glider is the only thing you can customize as far as your character appears right now. I like equipping this one in particular because it kind of reminds me of Paimon. They're the only things that you can change cosmetically right now, and you unlock the different ones through different means. I think there's been some talk of adding costumes in the future. Don't quote me on that. I don't think that that's true, but maybe they've talked about it. I don't know. Just give every girl a swimsuit costume. Appeal to the horny fans. It works. I mean, I could talk about the character design in this game for quite a while because there are some noticeable trends here and there. Like a lot of exposed neck and belly and that sort of thing. It's like, hey man, like, good shit. Anyway, so like I just got an invitation to do a survey. It'll get me 50 of these Primo Gems. So I'll do that in my own time. Or perhaps if I need to, I'll do it off camera. So this Mondstadt is kind of protected by these Knights of Favonius, which is comprised of Aether and Kaya. I want to think he's saying his name right, Kaya or Kaya. And there are a couple other characters in there too, but they're like the sworn protectors of Mondstadt. So there's Jean, who is the acting Grand Master, because the real Grand Master, I think, spoilers, is probably dead. There's Lisa the librarian. All these are characters that we can unlock through the gacha system. Some are rarer than others. Lisa, spoilers, is the 4th character that we recruit.
と、ここまでの経緯はこんな感じだ。
なるほど。モンドへようこそ。風と共に訪れし旅人よ。私は代理団長のジン。こちらはリサ。騎士団の図書館司書だ。あら、人手不足を手伝いに来た良い子ちゃん。
Lisa is very much. I like her design, but she's my least favorite character in this game just because she is so blatantly Ara mommy. Like that whole bit. I'm sorry I had to do that. But I like her design. She's not a very good character and like not the best to play, but like I'm not gonna really knock her for that. For a starting character, she's fine. I'll say that.
それがなければ尋ね人の張り紙を出すよりも騎士団がもっと効率のいい方法で君たちを助けられるのだが、もうしばらくモンドに留まっていてくれ。セピロス騎士団が問題を解決してみせるから。
I guess I'll leave it up to you then.
オイラたちも手を貸すべきだぞ。
じゃあ作戦を練るとするか。
風魔竜がモンドに攻めてきたことで逆に災いを集結させるきっかけを与えてくれた。それとリサの魔法で探査したところ、モンドを包む暴風の源が分かったんだ。
ほう。
They're all researching into the idea of this dragon. So we have to go to these 4 temples, and like I said, the temples are kind of like shrines from Breath of the Wild. I know I'm drawing a lot of comparisons between the two, but there's a lot to compare. The shrines are more like combat focused, and there are puzzles here and there, but they're really like attack this thing to unlock this door. That's really nothing to write home about. I will say I do like the combat in this game a fair bit. There is one character in particular who I've unlocked on a couple different accounts who I absolutely love playing as. I think we'll beat him in a little while. But at any rate, we have finally unlocked the shop, and we can buy stuff with real money, and also the wish system. The wish system is the main... God, I feel like I'm really weird talking now. So the wish system is the gacha system in this game. And throughout the game's lifespan, there have been different banners, like different character-specific banners. Like there's this event with Xiao, who's this character. He's kind of story integral at one point. It's only 3 hours left on this banner. I'm actually getting to this one quite late. So like the event banners have the rare 5-star character that like it's rarer than all of these other characters. These are like all the characters are basically 4-star except for these event characters and some exceptions. But like, yeah, so you can roll for this character. There's a chance that you'll get a weapon instead, which, given my luck, that happens a lot. But there are also the weapon-specific banners. They like you have a high chance for unlocking these 5-star weapons. These 2 are like really good weapons. These weapons are kind of, I mean, some of these are really good. The rarity only matters so much. It really comes down to like the passives. And then there's this standard banner, or the standard wish, that sometimes the characters will. Actually, I think it's probably just the same static 3 of Keqing, Mona, and Chi-Chi. These are all 5-star characters. that I think you can roll on this banner. You can actually like check. Let me see. If you click details, it shows you what you can roll on this banner, and it shows you like the base probability. Winning a 5-star item is 0.600%. Probability of getting a 5-star character is 0.300%. So you're more likely to get a 5-star item. I don't really know what constitutes as an item as opposed to a character or a weapon, but you have a higher chance of getting one of these items than you do a weapon or a character. And like the characters are the things that people really aim for because that increases your options for like team building and that sort of thing. When you wish for characters, you use I can't remember what they're called exactly, but you basically use these items that you get for wishes. And the cool thing about this game is that when you wish for characters, if you get multiple of the same character, you get like an in-game currency as well that you can spend on different items within the in-game shop. But also, each character has what's called a constellation, and the constellation is like a list of like 6 different passives or actives that can be unlocked for that character. So if you get, let's say, Bennett, and you have Bennett, and then you roll, and then you get another Bennett, you'll get Bennett's Constellation 1, which gives him like a whole new passive to his character. There are some characters that like really thrive off of this. There are some characters that people consider like, I'm going to use big air quotes, like unusable if they don't have a certain level of constellation. But like, okay, so you can see like Kachin, Mona, Chi-Chi, Diluc, Jean. These are all like 5-star characters that show up on this banner. This is a 5-star base probability. There's all these weapons too. And then there are all these like 4-star characters that like you can get. There is a pity system in this game where it's like if you don't get a character, or yeah, it's like if you don't get a character, I think specifically, after a certain amount of rolls, the game will actually like give you a character on the next roll. So like if I rolled for Zhao, and I used 90 of these. They're called fates. These like the items that you use to wish. If I used 90 of these and didn't get a single one of him, I'm fairly confident that the way it would work is that you get Zhao, or you get a chance at a 5-star. I think it's more related to the rarity than it is the actual character. But like on these character specific banners, like the first time you roll 5-star, there's like a 50% chance that it's going to be the banner character. And the characters that show up here, like on the side, these are 4-star characters, granted, but like they all have a higher chance of showing up as you roll for them. Like on a different account, I got Diona here, cute little cat girl. The game starts off specifically by giving you this 20% off wish. So like when you make a wish, you can wish for 1 and do 1 roll, or you can wish 10 at a time if you have the required fates. Like you need the intertwined fates for specific event banners, but for the base banners you just need the Acquiescent fates, which are pretty much handed out like candy. So I got 11 of these. Normally it would cost me 10 to make a wish times 10, but it costs 8. This is kind of like the one that they give you at the beginning of the game, because you immediately unlock this character, Noelle, who, kind of like a lot of the early game characters, like isn't that good. I kind of want to save my things for later, but I don't see no reason I shouldn't. So I'm just gonna click wish. And it does this like little preview. When you do that preview, if the shooting star turns to purple, you're guaranteed 4-star. If it turns to gold, it's guaranteed 5-star. So like we get weapons and this masterless stardust, which you can use within the in-game shop, and like different weapons. If you get into rolling like this, you're going to see a majority of just these weapons, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. One time I did roll on this first banner, and I got like 4 different characters. Okay, so see, there's Noelle. This is like the guaranteed character for that beginning banner. So like, yeah, I think unfortunately she's the only character that, yeah. Like at one point I had gotten like 3 other characters alongside Noelle, but she's the only one that I'm gonna get on this particular go. So now we have Noelle, who is a Claymore character, and I'll use her later just to kind of demonstrate what she's all about. But I just want to, like, I got 3 of this weapon, the Debate Club. Switch to that, enhance. You can, not only can you use different weapons to raise the level of your character, if you have duplicates of the same weapon, you can pick the refine option. Click on that, pick one of these, and it'll actually raise like the effectiveness of your passive. So like this weapon has a passive where after using an elemental skill on hit, normal and charge attacks deal additional damage equal to 60% of attack in a small AoE. And then when you upgrade it, instead of 60%, 75%. So this is good for I kind of just make a point of upgrading all my weapons. I know not all of them are worth using, but like there are some weapons that have been like this 3-star rarity, which nobody really cares about, that have actually been like good for certain characters. So I don't want to sleep on that. So we're just going to refine this real quick. This weapon in particular, I think is pretty good. I'm just going to refine it again because we have another one. And yeah, so when we enhance it, you got the base attack, which is just like the attack stat. Some weapons, weapons specifically over rarity 3, have like a separate stat. So like this weapon has an attack stat. Some will have a crit stat, some will have HP buffs, defense buffs, that whole bit. So, but this is like a particularly good weapon because you get the flat attack and then you get like an increased percentage of attack. So that's pretty neat. But I'm just gonna show off like picking certain rarity. Oh, I didn't mean to use up those bows, but whatever, we'll get more. So yeah, I increased my base attack to 62 and our attack percentage boost to 8.9. Okay, let's see if I can equip Amber with a better. Oh, well, I just wasted. That's okay. We're barely going to use Amber. Okay, so I do kind of want to talk about a little bit. Okay, so these are like the different characters that we're going to unlock soon. There are certain events that come through, like if you log in every day, you get one of these, and you can use these. I didn't realize how nice this event was. Like all these wishes. If they show off a new character, and during that time when the character is available, you can test out the character to get like 20 of these Primo Gems, that's what they're called. Or like these other characters give you different rewards. But Primo Gems are the main game currency. There is gold which you can spend on in-game items like food and weaponry and that sort of thing. But the Primo Gems are what you use to buy fates to make wishes. And I'm going to be like completely transparent with you guys. When I first played this game, I spent frankly an embarrassing amount of money. Like maybe I'll go into the exact amount one day. It was more than I'm willing to say. Not so much that it put me in like considerable debt, but just like the gacha addiction is real, at least for me. I know some people have more self-control than that. Personally, I have very poor self-control with spending and with other stuff too. Like I know this enough about myself that I really don't. It doesn't bother me to talk about it. You can judge me if you want. That's just whatever. But I will say, like, so I'll show you like the crystal top up. You can exchange real life money for these Genesis crystals, and Genesis crystals can go directly into getting Primo Gems. Or there's another function for it that I can't quite remember at this moment. There are like all these different options for buying different amounts of Genesis crystals, and when you buy it the first time, you get a little bonus, and that's neat and all. But I'll tell you right now that this game is, in my opinion and in many others' opinion, much more fulfilling if you play it free to play. Because when you use Genesis crystals to get more wishes, and you go through the wishing process, you're gonna get like a shit ton of weapons. You're gonna get characters to play with. You're gonna get all these goodies that some of which you probably wouldn't get through regular gameplay or just making the wishes on your own. It just kind of increases your chances of getting good shit. The problem with that is that if you get so much good shit early on and like spend your money, like the people who spend the most money are called whales. If you spend that much money, like I have in the past, and upgrade these characters and these weapons, like the game is going to get. It's not a hard game, but the game does get pretty trivial in one note. And like because of that, like I find that because I have more stuff, I have to use a lot more of my resources to upgrade these characters and these weapons. So if you play the game naturally, if you collect everything you come across, if you don't pay a cent and just use the wishes that the game gives you, there are like I just showed you in the event banner, like they give out wishes at certain points. Where is that? Yeah. So like you can see, like if you just log in, like you don't even really have to play the game. If you just log in every day during certain events, you get wishes, like for free. Like you don't have to pay anything for this. Like if you just log in for 7 days within a week, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You get 10 wishes for free. That, in the grand scheme, doesn't really sound like a lot, but that's like 10 chances to get like this rare character. And when you pull it, in my personal experience, when you pull a character just based on the wishes that you get in game, like it's a big deal. Like there are some like fantastic characters that you can unlock, but I just really wanted to go over that. I think that there are things that you can buy, like there's this Blessing of the Welkin Moon Pass. You buy it for $5. It lasts 30 days, so like you can buy it and then it goes for 30 days and then it's done. Every day you will get 300 of these Genesis crystals and 90 of these Primo Gems, and that's like if you want to spend any money on this game, like I think this is personally a very good deal, because that's 27,000 Prima Gems over 30 days, and that's, I don't know exactly how many wishes that is, but that's a good chunk of wishes. But also you get Prima Gems just naturally by playing the game and completing quests and doing this and that. Daily quests that are open to you give you more Primo Gems that you can use on wishes. If you plan on spending any money on the game, I would say that this is probably like the only thing that I would encourage buying. Like if you plan on spending any like major time invested in this game, I'm gonna try at least try my best to stick to the notion of like I really want to show that this game, it's free, it's fun for me, it's got plenty of stuff going for it, there's a lot of content, and you don't have to pay a cent for it unless you feel like supporting the devs or whatever. I can tell you that they're probably making enough money on their own, but like people shit on this game because it's a gacha game. I think reasonably so. I'm not personally bothered by the gacha aspect. That's just kind of like whatever. But I personally spent an exorbitant amount of money on this game when I first played it, and it was on the PS4 version too, which like doesn't perform very well. So like that just kind of like seemed like a moot point. So yeah, like if you feel like you have the responsibility within you, or like you have a lot of money and you want to become a streamer for this game and you want to get like all the good shit so you can show it off, like by all means spend whatever Twitch money you have on the biggest packs, like the $9.99, like the $99, the $100 Genesis Crystals pack. By all means, you're free to do so. But for the sake of this account, I'm going to show you what the game is like from a free-to-play perspective and try to expand upon what makes the game enjoyable from that perspective. Just another thing I want to cover real quick. When you make wishes and you get, like every item you get comes with a certain amount of stardust and star glitter, and these currencies can be exchanged for different items in the shop. I believe it changes the items every month or so. They'll one of the bigger things is like you can buy wishes. So like you can get wishes and then get this currency and then make more wishes. So that's kind of neat. But also there are these characters that go up for every month. Like Noelle is one. The only reason that we would need to buy her is to expand on like her constellation. Beto is another. I don't really have much to say about her. But like yeah, like you can get different things. There are like weapons and materials, and that's really kind of neat. But most of the time you'll get Stardust, and by using Stardust you can like unlock certain like you can buy a bunch of different like what's the word I'm looking for, materials, and you can buy wishes even. Like I think I can only buy one right now, so I'm not really gonna bother. Alright, so I felt like it was important to go over that, because like even through getting, like, you could see how many tabs there are for achievements. Like even through getting the achievements for playing the game, like 5 Primo Gems, that's not a lot. It's not 20, that's more like impactful. That you just get that by playing the game. Like boom, I got 5. Like if you're not planning on spending a cent in this game, like you get stuff for free, and like albeit like the later you get in the game, the less frequent it's going to be and the less impactful it's going to be. But if you just play the game as you will and kind of play at your own whim and just let things happen, like rewards will come your way, I promise you. I'm sorry, that was a really long tangent. If you get nothing else from this stream or this video, if I do decide to like edit it down, like that is the most important thing that I think you can take away from this, is that this game functions perfectly fine with not having to spend any money on it. There are tier lists for this game that kind of like pit the characters together in like sort of an objective way, but that is entirely based on like endgame content. I was just asking me to enhance my weapon. Okay, well, I guess I'll do that. But yeah, that's like, for me personally, that's just kind of how I feel about it. Okay, so we're gonna get back to the story stuff in just a second. Actually, hold on. I just want to see what this hubbub is about. There are certain side quests we can do at this point. I don't know how much I really want to focus on the side quests for now, so I'm probably just going to blitz through the actual like story content, just to kind of give an idea of what the story is like. Side quests do have story stuff. Sometimes it's like it's not really anything noteworthy, but they're just kind of fun. They give you different rewards for playing the game. Different items, different helpful tools that you can unlock. We're just going to venture out to this temple. All the different Knights of Favonius have gone to different temples. Somehow... Ooh, that's the blacksmith. Somehow related to this dragon, and we're going to tackle him one by one. We're just going to talk to this guy real quick. I want to find a weapon for Paimon. She's a tiny one, isn't she? Oh, yes, she is.
当然だ。販売、オーダーメイド、精錬、すべてこの鉄工房の仕事だ。お前に鉱石があれば、どこにでもある。
Another thing you can collect in the world, aside from ingredients and materials, is ore. Ore can be used to upgrade weapons, and I think that's pretty much it. But like you can also, okay, I have to collect ore, but like I'll show you. You can open the forge, you can make enhancement ore, and like you can make different weapons if you have the blueprints for it, and like the different materials that would require you to make it, and you have to pay money for it. So we don't have any of these just yet, but these are like pretty good weapons. There are some standout ones in here, so it's worth, along with collecting everything else, it's definitely worth your time to just collect ore when you see it as well, because that really does add up at some point. In order to let you build these weapons, which frankly, like, You could get the 5-star weapons through doing the wish system, but like you can get these weapons and just get through the game just fine. Like the game isn't hard at all. There's like the dungeon content. There's a whole thing called the Spiral Abyss where it's like there's different floors with different challenges on them where you have to fight different enemies. But like that's you could do it with any character. You can play this game with any character. Like I can tell you right now, like of the characters I have right now, Aether is probably like the only considered to be good one. Amber is like considered the worst in the game, and Noelle is like a contender for worst in the game. But these characters are all fun in their own respects. You can play whoever you want. It really doesn't matter. I'm gonna walk up to Amber with Amber and talk to Amber as Amber. Oh no, switch back to I know I'm rambling a lot, but like I do have a lot to say about this game. And I think that's going to be a pattern for any game that I play. I'm just going to banter on about how I feel about it and all that. Right. So something cool about this is kind of like a tutorial just showing you how the dungeons work. Or the temples, I should say. So you go into the temple, it gives you the challenge. There's a challenge over a certain level, but we're going to focus on deep within the Temple of the Falcon. It's got the recommended party level, the rewards that you get for doing it. We hit start and get ready. You can configure party before you go into the dungeon. Temple, sorry. Parties usually can consist of 4 members, but we only have 3 right now, so we're just going to go ahead and get the party started. So, like, with these 3 temples that we're going to do in particular, they focus a lot on these 3 characters that you get for free, aside from Noelle. So, like, this one's focused on Amber, so I get to talk more about, like, pyrotechs and the bow and that sort of thing. So, like, I did talk about Anemo. You could switch between the characters anytime, obviously, but this one's, like, more focused on Amber in particular. You can get, what the hell was I saying? I don't even remember. So, I talked about Anemo a little bit, and its properties and how it affects the world. Pyro is a bit more straightforward. By using Pyro, you can burn combustible objects, basically. Like, these vines, boom, they're on fire. These vines, boom, they're on fire. Boom. 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 Yeah, so you can, like, burn that's basically, like, I don't want to shit on Amber, but that's basically all she's good for at this point. Like, very likely if you unlock another Pyro character, you're just going to switch to that one unless you're, like, a diehard Amber fan. I like her, she's fine. She's not my favorite, but, you know, she is an iconic character in the game. She's kind of like the poster girl. You can also use... There's the main focus of some of the gameplay is the elemental sight. So, like, if you hold the scroll wheel, it kind of does, like, a little blip. And it'll, like, highlight enemies and tell you what they are. But, like, also different items in the area will turn a certain color based on their element. So these turn green. These are called... There's a wood element, or like a plant element called Dendro. And the way that Dendro reacts to fire is that it catches on fire. So like I could shoot this guy's shield, you can see it caught on fire, he's freaking out. Gives me more time to attack him. I can even just go down there and like bop, 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 bop. I have a weak bow, so this is probably going to take a bit. In fact, she's probably better with charged shots. In fact, Elemental Burst is just raining arrows from this guy. It's kind of neat in its own regard, but, you know. Amber. I really don't like talking about her like she's a shit character. I think she's fine. Easily the worst, but like, you know, if you like her, she's fine. Whatever. Anyway, so Pyro, you can also use, I think you can use different attacks for this, but like Pyro, you see these flaming barrels, you can go boom, blow shit up. And that's neat. And then there's another chest right there. And I think by burning things, you get like different of these like elemental particles. If you attack enemies with certain elements, it'll give off certain elemental particles corresponding to that element. And if you have that character out, like if I attack something with fire and I have a fire character out, their elemental burst gauge will build faster than if I were playing a different character at that time. There are like basic elemental, that show up. Sorry, I have like a really bad memory. There are different elemental thingies that show up that like you can collect, and it kind of gives energy to all your characters. But like, if you're like playing Amber like I am, and you attack these enemies with fire, and it gives you like the bloody blues, then you can use your elemental burst. And Amber's elemental burst charges fairly quickly, and I think it's a fine burst, as a matter of fact. But yeah, you can even see like the fires affecting their weapons, and I think it makes them stronger. Or like eventually they'll burn away, and then they won't have anything to attack with. So I think early on in the game lifespan, Pyro is very highly considered to be like the best element, just because of like a lot of Pyro characters are very focused on damage dealing. Like I don't think there's a single Pyro character that isn't like focused on the aspect of like dealing as much damage as possible. Amber kind of falls into that category just by nature of being an archer. There are some archer characters that are like really good at putting out damage, but Amber, it's a specific playstyle you have to get used to. Alright, so there's a thing at the end of the dungeon that we just gotta blow up. And there's that one done.
でもこれで少しはジンさんの役に立以前なら城内のまあそれでも今風魔竜がモンド城内を直接襲うようなことがあったら風向きが変わったのなら策も考えるべきよ。これはリサさんの口癖だよ。
And my cat's walking in. Hi, Rose. Meow. She may very well jump up on the table.
四風守護の話だけど過去の歴史に興味があったら先に言っておく図書館司書の知識
Alright, so we already have Amber, so we don't unlock her. But, we have her. And like if you open up this tab, you can see these different characters that you unlocked and their different properties. And like, the more you use a character, the more their friendship level will go up. And when you do that, like you can click on their profile, and like you learn more about these different characters' personal stories and like their ideals, and you get to listen to voiceover clips just as well. I don't really care much about that sort of thing, but like if you like the character lore, there's some neat stuff in there. Noelle is just one of my favorite characters in the game personally because she's a maid, but she's also a knight, and that's really cute, and I really like her design. Like it's one of my favorite designs in this game. Like if I thought she was better, I would probably consider like a main character. But unfortunately, like there are characters that I like more. So we get rewarded at the end of this dungeon with the Primo Gems and blah 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 blah. We get different rewards depending on what temples you do. And we're gonna move on to the next one. I think the next one we're gonna do is Kaya, because that's just kind of like what we were in the order that we were introduced to these characters. So let's see. Finish that quest, we get rewarded for it. Yep, let's go to see Kaya. So upon completing this quest, we will unlock Kaya. But there are some temples in the game, or like some sub-stories that let you play as the character that is the focal point. You don't unlock the character, but it kind of gives you an opportunity to like try them out and see what their skills are all about. And it's also a really neat way to learn the character. There are a good handful of characters that have certain abilities, or like certain temples or sub-stories dedicated to them, but not all the characters do. So it's going to take a while for us to get all of that. So talk about Noelle real quick. Her E is a shield. It deals geo damage. Geo is kind of like a rock, earthy element. But basically it sets up a shield around her, and you can like switch to these different characters and the shield will be there, and the shield absorbs damage and all that. Geo is kind of like a Nemo in the sense that like it doesn't specifically like have a certain trait to it. If you use a Nemo, and I think it's either if you attack an enemy with a certain, no, if you have a shield around your character, like, well, and you get attacked by certain elements, it'll spawn these particles based on that element. Different from the ones that you get that help you build your burst gauge, but by getting these elements, it gives you more resistance to these particular elements. So that's pretty neat. Geo has gotten buffed quite a bit recently. For the better, I believe. Like, Geo was considered highly underwhelming for a time. In this most recent update, I think Geo got kind of like buffed out the ass. Which I won't complain about at all, because the Geo characters are some of my favorites. So, yeah. Oh, I think I flubbed that. She's also a Claymore character, which means that she gets these big wide swings. If you charge the attack button, you do spin attack, and you keep doing that for as much stamina as you have. Finish it off with a big blast, a big ass blast. Claymore characters are probably my favorite to play, just because like I love the over-the-top animations they give you. And her burst is it upgrades her sword to like deal geo damage, and you can see like the attack range on it is monstrous. Like, unfortunately, it's only active for her when she's on the field. Like, this won't carry over to Amber or Aether. It only applies to her. So she's weird because like her shield will give you health and like transfer health to your other characters, like if you have a certain upgrade for it. But like you have to have Noelle on the field in order to get that. So like Noelle isn't the best damage dealer, but she's built around doing damage to support her team. So she's kind of in a weird mix there, where like she's a jack of all trades and not really a master of any. Anyway, so yeah, Kaya. I will never learn how to pronounce that the right way. It's the smell of burnt pyro slimes. Something must have happened with the temple. Sulaim. You're approaching me. Can't beat the shit out of you without getting closer. I might have to mute in a bit to take a phone call, but I'll let you know when that happens. So we're just going to enter this temple. And we're going to do the story quest to get more stuff. But mainly we're going to play as Kaya. I'm going to say Kaya. We're going to play as Kaya in this temple. And I get to show you what he's all about. Oh, we gotta walk forward to get in order to play as him. So Kaya, in very similar way to Aether, is a sword character. He uses a sword in pretty much the same way. You can see their animations are pretty different. Like, Kaya does a little teleport at the end of his, and that's all well and good. Charge attack are basically the same. It serves the same purpose. Some characters get better output of damage based on their animations, I think. I don't think it's significant enough to make a difference, but whatever. So Kaya is a cryo character, and what cryo characters can do is, like, if you're near a body of water, you can use your elemental skill to freeze it. And if you have characters that are wet, it'll freeze them in place. And the neat thing is, if you have a character that is frozen, or has the frozen status above them, if you use a fire move, it applies melt. So like, I was talking earlier about like this game is very heavily focused on the idea of elemental reactions. So the way that combat will typically work is that you use a character of a certain element to apply the elemental status, and you switch to a character of a different element, and then it applies a different status altogether, which, like, some do increased damage, some make enemies more susceptible to certain types of damage. For the case in Geo's case, it lets you build up more of a resistance to these elemental types. For Swirl, it like imbues the Anemo attacks with different elements in order to make them more powerful. So there are like different reactions as far as like Pyro and Cryo, Cryo and Pyro. Like you can do them in different orders to get different effects too, I believe. I might be wrong about that. So like if you have a fire character here, if you hit a fire character, or a character that has the fire status applied to him with a cryo attack, they get melt, which I'm pretty sure like lowers their defense or something like that. I don't quite remember. But if break this block thingy, they turn wet, use cryo, they get frozen. So like, there's a lot of nuance in that. There are certain like team comps that are built around like pursuing different elemental reactions. His burst is this rotating crystal thingy. I think, like, as far as the early game goes, Kaya is probably like the best damage dealer. He's not great in the long term, but like, if you get a groove for him, if you can like put up with the kind of character that he is, then he's pretty rewarding. Another thing about Cryo, though, like I said, you can freeze bodies of water, and you can use this for traversing the landscape. It comes pretty in handy, especially when you don't want to use stamina to cross bodies of water. So that's pretty handy. There are a few cases where like you absolutely should have cryo in order to reach different areas. Oh, we're already at the end. Oh, so fucking smug.
神殿での戦いは勉強になったぜ。騎士の謙虚さも兼ね備えてるとはな。お前がモンドを救う勇士、きっと自由の都の新たな伝説になる。俺は騎士団本部にいるから、暇な時いつでも来てくれ。そうだ、いい酒場を知ってるから、そこでもいいぞ。
Like I said, you have to forgive me if I'm a bit stiffly. This cutscene is pretty badass, I'm not gonna lie. Shows off my favorite character to play as. He's a 5-star, but like...
ヒルチャールの知能で奇襲なんて思いつくわけがないと思っていたが。お前らの仕業だったんだな。
Tell me that is not the coolest shit. I fucking love D-Luke. He is so, like, every time he shows up in a cutscene, he's, like, super over the top. He's kind of edgy, but, like, I don't know, I like his design, and I fucking love the way he plays. It's so hyper-aggressive and fun. Like, if you've seen any of my stream tests, you've seen me playing D-Luke, and D-Luke is, like, from all the characters that I've played, he's absolutely my favorite to play. And unfortunately, we're probably not going to have a very, very high chance of getting him, but maybe we will, maybe we won't. He's also a mega hottie, so that kind of works out. Because he uses pyro, get it? Anyway, we unlocked Kaya. And now Kaya is our 4th party member. So, like, yeah, not really much to say there. You can give them different weapons, and I think I unlocked a fair bit of stuff there. Just gonna switch into the stronger weapon because I think I'm probably gonna use him more than Aether in terms of combat. I also unlocked different artifacts. Okay, probably just gonna slap a couple of these on there. Artifacts have different priority for stats like attack and crit damage. The stat that it focuses on, I think, is like certain artifacts. Like for flowers, it'll always be HP. Like it'll always be HP. The higher rarity ones you get, you do get like a little bonus on there. I think feathers are all attack too, but like you get attack and then you get like a little bonus stat right there. So that's cool. I'm not going to bother equipping too much stuff right now because I don't really have much to go around. But we'll expand upon that more as time goes on because we're going to get plenty of good drops here and there. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. Man, I am a mess today. But I can show you, like, I think there are enemies in this area. There must be. Oh, wait, no. So, like, certain chests will be locked, and there are, like, certain puzzles that you have to find around the landscape. Like this, there are these torches here and there that you gotta light them all, and they're kind of hidden in the landscape, and then when you light them all, you get the chest. And these chests kind of just bear random rewards. They also give you like 2 primo gems for each one you unlock. So that's cool. It's kind of handy. It's like, it's kind of whatever after a while. Like I said, you do get completion rewards for unlocking so many of them. And I think even for unlocking all of them, which is like, I haven't even done that, you get some pretty good stuff out of it. Most of the stuff that you do in this game as far as like completion goes, it's going to go towards getting primo gems for wishes. And I think in some cases, like, you get weapons. I don't think you ever get characters for doing certain quests, aside from like these beginning ones in particular. We are flying into uncharted territory. Yeah, so we're gonna have to find the next statue to light up the map. Oh, don't get caught in the explosion of those. It'll hurt. And you're probably thinking to yourself, like, man, we are fighting a lot of the same enemies right now, and early game enemy variety is pretty limited. All things considered, this game is very early in its lifespan, so, like, the enemy variety isn't really that great, but, like, I don't know. Combat's simple enough. I like it. It's fun combining different elements to do different things. I think it's very flashy and neat. That's really all I can say about it. It's just neat. Breath of the Wild is probably more nuanced than this, but actually no, that's a complete lie. Like, this is more nuanced in every single way. Okay, so I think I just unlocked 2 Berserker artifacts. Berserker 2-piece set, crit rate up 12%. So equip 1. Oh, sorry, equip 1. Equip the other, and boom, we get set bonus Berserker 2-piece set. So that's kind of how that whole thing works. So that will always be on my character so long as I have those artifacts equipped. And yeah, there's a lot to take it about this game, but like, the more you play it, the more sense it makes. You know, it's nothing too convoluted. It really is just like, as long as you collect shit that you come across, you should be fine. I think in some cases it takes like a good amount of time, or like a I don't want to say a full day, but it takes a good amount of time for certain things like these flowers to respawn, so you can collect them again. But you know, it takes the time to collect them. You'll be thankful that you did. I'm just gonna activate the statue over here. The world opens itself to people with noble heart, or whatever. Hooray. So we got more of the map unlocked. Hooray! And we can teleport here as well. And another thing about the statues is that you walk within the vicinity of a statue, it'll heal you. I like setting this to 100 because the power recharges over time, but like it'll heal your characters. There's another aspect of the statues scattered across the landscape, is that there are these things that you can collect called like a Nemoculus. Oh, sorry, I just got a little pop-up. A Nemoculus. For this particular region, there are like, I think around like 100 or something. It's probably less than 100, but there are a good amount of these scattered throughout the landscape. You can see on my radar they're notified by, oops, sorry. They're signified by these little star symbols. I'm choosing not to collect them now because they're a lot easier to collect in one more concentrated go, because if you collect them, then like, which ones did you get? Which ones do you still have to get? Like, you can kind of throw yourself off with that. There are phone apps that have like maps that you can use in order to keep track of that sort of thing. And I'll try to signal boost one at some point. I don't quite remember the name right now. I think it might just be Genshin Maps. You can probably just search that in like your phone store or whatever and get away with that. Oh, okay. So like, there's these ore across the landscape, and you smack it to mine it. Oh, this one's taking a while. So the cool thing about Claymore characters is that they break ore much more easily, and that kind of is the case with like certain barriers like rocks and that sort of thing. Like, they break structures very quickly. So like, the general idea, if you just want a good team for traversing the landscape, like, yeah, use whoever you want, but like, having one Claymore character and having one bow character to solve those ranged puzzles, it's pretty handy. It's not a requirement, but like, if you're just like traversing the world and you really care about who you're using, that's probably like the best way to go about it. That's why Amber early game is a good enough character in her own right, because she has the ability to do these sorts of puzzles, but like later on falls off pretty hard. I know, I'm sorry, I keep shit talking here. I don't hate her that much. We're gonna climb up this wall. So, kind of a similar thing to Breath of the Wild. It's like, if you see a wall, you can climb it. There are some exceptions, but like, if you have the stamina, just fucking go for it. Please ignore the weird moaning. That's not why I played this game. While you're climbing, you can also press the spacebar to do a little dash. It uses up more stamina. I think you actually use less stamina by just crawling up naturally, but, you know, to each their own. Takes longer, but it's more rewarding. Ana. I love her. I know I said it. I love her design, but I don't know. I'm sure there are people that die for this kind of character archetype, but like, it's not for me. Or maybe I'm like really secretly super into it and I just don't admit it to anybody because I have insecurities or whatever. Probably. That's probably right. Anyway, so we're gonna enter the Temple of the Lion, and this one is focused on playing Lisa. So we'll go over that. There's also all these different elemental trials that I can go into about like the different status conditions. There's like Vaporize, where if you use I'll just talk about it as I unlock these characters. Cool thing about temples is that even though, like, if you go into a temple that lets you play as a certain character that you might not have, if you have a full team, you can still rotate through those 4 on top of the 5th one, who will be like the designated character for that temple. So like we have 4 now. 5th one is going to be Lisa. I think that's
これ
kind
で
of
間に合いますね。
私も少し
Alright, so Lisa is a Catalyst character. Catalyst is kind of like, they used
やっぱ
orbs
り
and
この
tombs
神
and
殿
that
の奥から
sort of thing.
非常に強い元素反応
tones, I
を
guess.
感じるわ。
To like do these little
あのじゃあ
elemental...
そこには行ける
So like they attack from a range. As far as I know, like their attack is still based off of their regular attack,
で
but
は
there's like an
道を
elemental
探
attack
しましょう
stat
か。
that kind of helps boost certain elements.
この風を使って上
Certain
に行きまし
attacks,
ょ
I should say. She is of the what do they call it? Electro element, which you can probably guess is electric. So like electric can be used for certain things. We'll go over in just a second. So she's got her basic attack, which isn't the greatest, but it serves its purpose. Cool thing is that if you attack pyro enemies with electro, it causes overloaded to happen, which sends them flying away for increased damage. So that's kind of neat. Her basic attack is just like this chain of blasts. Her charge attack is a more concentrated blast. I hate to be negative, but like I think as far as charge attacks goes, this is probably the worst in the game because it's like it's so you have to aim it so specifically because it spawns at an area in front of you, and like I don't know. I've heard things that like the targeting is inconsistent.
雷元素の石碑ね。
So, but her elemental skill is kind of where she shines in a way. It's not the best again, but like it's neat. So if you press the E button or press the E key, you send a simple ball of electricity, and you can do this on relatively low cooldown. I'm just kind of showing this off
ちょっ
because
とビリビリ
I
さ
like
せ
how
ない
neat
と
it
ね
is. So like it'll mark each enemy with like a certain number, I believe, and when those enemies are marked, it kind of like when you use your full elemental skill, it does more damage. I believe that's the case. But like the full skill is if you hold the button, it creates this circle and it reaches the rim and anything in the circle gets attacked. So like that's kind of neat for group clearing. I like her conceptually. The only thing is that when you use that move, there's like a long cooldown as opposed to just using the regular balls. So like if you're playing her and like attacking something, you're probably not even going to use your regular attack. You can just use these.
逃がさないわ
That's probably not true at all, but like, maybe true. These characters are standing in water. We're going to use Electro and Electro Charge, which means that as long as they are wet, they are going to take damage from the electricity. So like, all these elemental reactions have like different properties to them, and they're all, you know, they make sense. So like, you don't have to think too hard about it.
これで間
It
に合
might
い
be a
ます
little bit overwhelming for some, but for me, it's really not terrible.
空域よここから上に上が
That's
りまし
right.
ょう
So her elemental burst is that she summons this
しび
lantern,
れさせちゃうのよ
and I think the lantern like deals damage within this AoE. I don't think there's anything specific about it that
関
sets
連
it
した
apart.
敵の間には 連鎖ダメージが発生する
Yeah, really not much else to say about it. There's probably something that I'm missing with this character. Honestly, I don't like Lisa that much, so I don't really play her. I know I'm just kind of sound like I'm being negative by saying all these characters are bad. They're good for teaching you the prospect or like the aspects of the game, but it's like
私の首にある宝石が何かって
if you like the characters, fair enough.
嘘本気で
If
聞い
you
て
want
る
to play
の
them, play them.
これは
Nobody's gonna stop you.
神の目よ
Personally, I just
選ばれた人間が
I like other
元素の
characters more.
力を引き出すための装置ね神秘学の視点から言えば外付けの魔力機関とも言えるかしら
Oh yeah, I guess I should talk about the lore a little bit. One of the big things about this game is that in the world, like, each character you play as has something that's called... Ooh, I fucked myself over. you can... Okay, so each character has what's called a vision. So you can see it like hanging on their person. Like I think that... where is it? I'm not staring at her breasts, I promise. It's on her somewhere, but like on Kaya, you can see it's like on his belt. Like you see the thing right by his hand, that's a vision. And these visions are like little emblems given to you by, like, you're basically designated by a god to like be allowed to use that power. And Aether, or the Traveler, is kind of an outlier in that regard because he doesn't have a vision by nature of just not coming from this world. Why are they both talking at the same time? Okay, sorry about that. By nature of not being from this world, Aether doesn't have a vision. But he can use and utilize different elements just naturally. So that's kind of like a story beat I haven't really expanded upon yet, but it means that as you progress through the story and go through these different areas, you get access to different elements. There are only 2 major areas out right now. There's Mondstadt and Liyue. And Liyue is spoilers, it's based off of Geo, so like you get Geo skills when you get there. But we'll see that in the future. Might call it in a bit after I unlock these characters. I don't know if anybody's actually come to the stream, but maybe it'll just be fun to put on in the background. Hopefully I'm doing a good job commentating. Alright, so we have done the first chunk of the quests and unlocked these, I guess, mandatory characters. These are basically the characters they give you for free. Noelle is kind of an exception. Well, I mean, I guess she is kind of like along the same lines. Oh, cutscene. She's kind of along the same lines because you do get her for free in a sense, but I don't really consider her to be like one of the first ones that you get through the story. See, we just got Lisa. So but yeah, I do want to wish for more characters just because having more characters is good, but I also kind of want to run the game with like the base characters just to show that, like, yeah, you can play this game with the base roster and be perfectly fine. It's really not that detrimental to you if you don't have these certain characters unlocked. So I'm just gonna... Sorry, I just gotta skip through all this. Yay! Our world has expanded. So now we have access to more quests, and some of these quests are character specific too. So we'll get to learn more about these characters as we play. I'm just gonna switch the party setup. So you can, through the options, you can go to check the party setup. And you can adjust your party by just like doing quick setup. So like, let's see, I'll just do this in order of unlocked. So Aether, Amber, Kaya, Lisa. So that's kind of like your basic party for what you get for the game. And I think I'll run it for a good chunk just to demonstrate that, like, yeah, you can get this through this game like with no problem just having these base characters. I will say that, you know, after a while they're going to get boring because they're not terribly complex. But, you know, for the purposes of like this video or this stream, like, I kind of just want to prove a point. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting a phone call right now. Let me just... mute my mic. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Just got a random phone call. Okay, so let's... I don't really have much to open with right now, so... yeah. You might have noticed earlier on that I didn't use the books to level up my characters. Early in game, from like levels 1 to 20, like you don't really need to use the books. I prefer to save them at this point, but like when you get to the next ascension rank where you go from 20 to 40, like that's going to be, you're going to want those books, because leveling up at a certain point becomes a really big grind. Like you barely get any experience for doing combat, and you might think like, well, why would I do combat if I don't get experience from it? Well, you get different materials from different monsters and enemies for like killing certain enemies. Like you get different materials that you can use for character ascension and weapon upgrading. So like fighting any enemy you come across is also a pretty good idea. You get to a point at some point where you can just kind of like clear mobs without even thinking about it. I'm just gonna ignore that for a minute and go to the adventure counter. So I was gonna touch upon this earlier, but your adventure rank, as it goes up, you can visit this guild, talk to Catherine, and she kind of gives you a lowdown on what the guild is all about. But as you level up your adventure rank, not only do you get access to more story quests, like there are certain story quests you have to be a certain rank for, but you get access to different rewards and like different perks that you can use in the game. So like you accumulate adventure EXP to increase your adventure rank. You kind of just do that by playing the game, honestly. Completing quests and doing daily quests at some point is the best way to get those. Kind of do it as the benefits. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, we got rewards for every rank we leveled up. We get like we get currency, upgrading materials. This one we get prima gems and food, and we even get a wish for some of these. So I'm just gonna claim all these right now. Alright. So we got all that shit. That's cool. Yeah, you can make Aether out to be kind of a dick by his dialogue choices. Kind of fun. Yeah, so that's probably my least favorite thing about this game, is that there are some points later on when like you get to what's considered the end game, like around rank 38 to 40. Adventure rank is separate from character level, by the way. When you get up to those ranks, like it becomes like a concentrated task of like playing every day in order to get your rank up, and that's kind of shitty when like there are certain quests that require you to have a certain rank, like a very high rank. Well, okay, so we've just unlocked the adventure handbook. Go over that. One of the cool things about the handbook in particular is that as you complete certain objectives, you can claim these rewards, and like these are the adventure points. These are the points that will let us level up our adventure rank. So we can claim these because we've already done some of these. And we also get other rewards out of it too, so that's cool. There are other tabs here. I'm not sure why they're not showing up, but maybe if I open it up again? No? I guess we kind of have to get through that first. So, yeah, that's... I mean, there's the story quests, of course, and all that good stuff. But that's just kind of how the game breaks down, is that you do quests, and you unlock shit. And I guess it's kind of oversimplifying it, but that's the basic idea. I'm just gonna take a look at my achievos. achievements are typically for just Primo Gems. I think it is just specifically Primo Gems. Let's set a signature. TakumaGast loves you. Heart. Aw. And then you can, this is all just kind of like optional, but you can like set your birthday. I think there's something that happens on your birthday. I don't know exactly what that thing is, but my birthday, for example, is the 9th of April. It says your birthday is set to 4/9. There will not be, you will not be able to change this date once you have confirmed it. Who knows? Something good might happen on your birthday. Like I haven't had that trigger for me yet. Obviously, I don't know what happens. So, but like there's also this tab that lets you kind of look at the in-game events and that sort of thing. Not really much else to say about that. It's just kind of like, okay, it's good to keep up. It's good to keep up to date. They do post update like summaries, what issues they're addressing and so on. So that's really cool. They go pretty in depth with it too. This isn't like your smash patches. This is like actually like what issues were fixed and yada yada, and ways that they improved characters or buffed them or nerfed them. Compensation, I haven't gotten that yet. Sometimes they will, when they do a big update and it takes a long time for them to like actually get the update going, they will compensate you Primo Gems. That's another thing I like about it. When they do like big issue fixes, they'll also reward you with Primo Gems. So it's kind of a, you know, they're trying their best, but like it's a good, I think it's a sign of good faith that they like show you like, hey, you know, we fucked up, so let's give them a little incentive to keep playing the game. I can't say that they're intentionally fucking up. I don't think that's the case. Yeah, okay, so wait, did I miss one? Sorry, I just don't like having all these notification tabs pop up. The fair use statement, we're not going to read that. But yeah, that's kind of, I think I'm going to call it right now, just because it's kind of getting long and my back's starting to hurt from sitting in this chair all day. I want to say just thank you for showing up to this if you did. Thank you for watching this. If for some reason you find it in you to watch this stream after it's broadcast, or like you decide to, or if I decide to edit it down and you watch the video, like it really does mean a lot to me that you would even consider looking at this. So if you're hearing this, just know from the bottom of my heart that I am thanking you for it. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. Not just stream Genshin, but like stream as a whole. Like this is something that I've always kind of wanted to strive for. I could talk more about that in the future. But just as of right now, like I spent so many days trying to figure this out with all the technology and OBS and like setting resolution and changing settings here and there, and like I finally got it to work at a point where it's like it actually looks good on stream. And the fact of the matter is that like my computer isn't very good. So for context, it's like an AMD Radeon R7. I don't really know what that means in computer speak, but I know that it's not especially built for gaming. And you know, like this computer's also like 5 years old. So like sorry, I got distracted again. Yeah, this game is like 5 years old. Not this game, sorry. This computer is like 5 years old, so obviously it's not going to run as well as it could. But, you know, I've went through pretty rigorous work as somebody who doesn't understand computers in order to figure this out. So, like, finally happy to get this off the ground. Like I said, if you're watching this and you're hearing me talk right now, like, thank you so much just for taking a peek. Hopefully the stream was of some entertainment or, you know, some interest to you. If you're thinking about picking up this game, I will continue to stream it and talk more about, like, you know, I don't know, we'll just go over the story and see how that appeals to you. But like, the stream was very important for me to like just talk about the game conceptually and like how my experience with it and getting sucked into the gacha system, and maybe I could do a more dedicated talk on that. But yeah, I guess I'm kind of rambling at this point, but I do. Yeah, well, thank you for coming. If you did, if you're just watching this, thank you. I can't stress that enough. But I am gonna log off and quit for now, just because I've been going at it for a while, and we're gonna see the Nintendo Direct stream for the first time in a while in about 3 hours. So I don't plan on streaming that, unfortunately. I'll probably be in a group call with my friends, and that won't be very good on the stream. But I'm gonna take off for now. Have a good day, I guess. I mean, yeah, I'm just kind of nervous about this whole thing. So once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And yeah, just hang in there. Have a good day.